Welcome. We're pleased to see you all here today for our webinar on effective data and analytics and why it's so paramount in the modern day. Data is the lifeblood of modern business. It can help businesses understand their customers, optimize their operations, improve their products, and innovate faster. Data can also help businesses reduce costs, increase efficiency, enhance quality, and create value. However, data alone is not enough. Businesses need to have the right data strategy, culture, and capabilities to leverage data effectively and ethically, and this needs to be led by the leaders within their organizations. In the past 2 years, PETA have hosted a range of business workshops with attendees from a huge range of sizes and industries, the aim of which is to get an accurate feedback on the challenges which organizations face today, and to help us shape our curriculum and support you in overcoming these. Two of the primary messages we have received from these workshops have been around employee and business digital competency and business data management. So for the last 12 months, our delivery teams have been working hard to identify the right educational options to present to our customers, and today's webinar is all about the Data Apprenticeship Program. On a side note, we do have a number of commercial training solutions for both beta and employee and business digital competency, and we'd be happy to share these with you in our conversations when you engage with your PETA account managers. As part of our identification process, we undertook a review of the studies which have been undertaken on this subject and came across a really relevant research piece from Lenovo compiled in late 2023. This report, simply titled Data for Business, discovered that only 23% of UK companies feel they're prepared to understand and manage the data within their own businesses. The same report states that only 14% of UK businesses feel they use their business intelligence data effectively, and only 40% of this small group feel they must rely on their IT teams to manage this data on their behalf. Let's pop that into perspective. For every 100 businesses in the UK, only 14 feel they're utilising their business data effectively to influence decision making, and only 8 of them have leaders analysing that data to make business decisions, the rest relying on their ICT teams. That's 92% of UK businesses who do not support their leaders in using data effectively to influence better business decisions. That's less than 1 in every 10 organisations. That's why here at PETA, we think the Level 3 Data Technician Apprenticeship Programme is a superb way for business leaders to cultivate the technical skill sets required to help them gather, analyse and present data which will help your business grow and prosper. In this webinar, we will hear from PETA's very own CEO, Fiona Stillwell, about the impact effective business data analysis has had on our own organisation and how it is helping our leaders improve our business decisions, and what PETA are doing to support our members and customers in achieving this same outcome. We will also hear from members of the PETA team to outline the content of the programme, so you can conclude today's webinar armed with all the information you need to decide if you feel this approach is the right one for your business. So let's start with that interview from Fiona Stillwell.
So please could you firstly just introduce yourself?
Of course. So Fiona Stillwell, I'm the CEO of PETA. I've been in PETA for just shy of 2 years now, and I've spent the first year looking at our 5-year strategy. And one of the first things I did was look at the systems we use and how we'll pull data out of the systems so we can have a more centralised data base.
Why was this important for you?
So it's really important to me because when you have a single point of the truth, which is the data, you have an evidence-based way of making decisions in the business, you understand the business more, the whole team can be more curious, but really importantly, we had a really good insight as to what's happening within the business. It is backward-facing, but enables us to make some forward-making decisions. So one of the first things we did was centralise the systems so they all work on one data set, which means we can pull one set of reports out and they all link to each other. So not only is the business more efficient, but it also means that the data is consistent and there's one data set.
And so why is it essential to you that your leadership team uses this centralised point of data?
I'm sure many people will recognise that when you don't have a centralised data system, there are lots of different data sets, and therefore it can become quite unwieldy. Meetings can take a lot longer than they need to because people are looking at the different sets of data and trying to understand them. Then terminology may be used interchangeably. By having one standardised set of data enables meetings and decisions to be made much more efficiently and effectively because we're all talking the same language. So the team not only feel more empowered, but it also enables them to become more compliant in their roles to ensure that they are consistently achieving what we need them to achieve.
And what about the decisions from a leadership point of view? how has the data supported your choices?
Making sure that the data is being used to help make decisions is really important to me. Not used as a crutch or not used as a reason for not performing. So it's about have a look at it and see what trends are there to make forward making decisions, not look at it and go, oh, that's not working. It's about making sure that we don't make the same mistakes twice and we learn. Not only does data support the performance of the business, but the compliance of the business I've mentioned is really important. With good systems and good data, there is less information in different formats across the whole business. It's on the system first and we pull the data from that system. It's safer for our apprentices, it's safer for our employees, so that we're not jeopardising any personal data. One of the first roles I invested in when I joined PETA was a data technician role, so somebody who was able to pull that centralised reporting for me, because I saw the value in that and the efficiency that would create for the business.
And since you've kind of had more of a focus on this data, what difference do you think that's made to the business?
I would like to think that the team all understand more about data. All of the leadership team have been through data training. And I would also like to think that it enables the wider team to start to understand their impact in the business and how individuals can have an impact in the business based on data, based on the evidence they've got. In utopia, I'd like it to empower the whole team to be able to make the decisions they need to be excellent in their jobs. It's a journey, so it doesn't happen overnight, but by having that central data set will allow them to become more empowered in their own roles.
Perfect, thank you so much.
First of all, thanks for having me here today to talk through what a data technician is likely to do in their day-to-day duties. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a fictitious company, we're going to take one called Apprenticeships, and just go through some basic setups that you would have in a standard data analysis process. We've already heard about how data isn't being used particularly by companies, and how by leveraging their data, particularly using tools like Power BI, companies can transform how they are handling and using their data to improve their profit margin and improve their performance. A data technician is going to make sure your data is well managed, acting like the backbone to your organization's data infrastructure. But they're also going to be a key player when it comes to the governance of your data as well. So the question you need to ask is, if you're using data at the moment, what if it was no longer a tangled web, but a clear roadmap guiding your business decisions? Okay. So let's start by looking at the first step that a data technician is likely to be involved in, which is going to be working with what's known as the ETL setup. So this stands for extract, transform, and load. So currently, you would probably have data scattered across multiple spreadsheets. Certainly in the case of AdventureWorks, this is the reality they're facing. They've got about 5 different spreadsheets, all of which are actually containing different bits of information. Extracting this data is sometimes a laborious process. Sometimes it can be riven with potential errors, and it can be incredibly labor intensive. What you want to do is find a way to automate this process so that the data can be pulled out reliably and consistently each time. And this is what a data technician or a specialist data technician is going to be giving you. Without a structured ETL process, your data is going to remain disjointed and unreliable, making it difficult to derive accurate insights. So think of this process as the pipeline that turns raw data into a valuable resource ready to fuel your business decisions. Once you've got that data, their next step would be to build a robust data model. Even when you've cleaned the data, there's still going to be separate spreadsheets. What a data technician is going to need to do is build a framework that will link all of these different bits of data together, often using common bridging fields. By linking these data sets, they'll uncover relationships and patterns that were previously hidden, enabling more strategic decisions to be made. Imagine if you could see how your sales and performance relates to inventory levels or customer satisfaction. How much more effective could your decisions be? A well-constructed data model is going to be like a well-tuned orchestra where every instrument plays in harmony, revealing insights that will drive your business forward. You can also look at something called DAX, which involves time intelligence. So DAX will extend your model to add information to it, and time intelligence will bring you will allow you to track trends over time, comparing performance across different periods and even forecast future trends. This capability is going to be crucial for understanding seasonal impacts, campaign effectiveness, and planning for future demand, much like using a weather forecast to plan your next steps. How much more accurate could your planning be if you could predict future trends based on past performance? Time intelligence will transform your historical data into a crystal ball, helping you to foresee what's coming and prepare accordingly. Think of it as the clock that helps you understand the rhythm and the flow of your business, keeping everything in sync. The next step you'll be looking at, or you're looking at your data technicians do, will be to create some interactive visualizations that will allow you to explore your data in real time. Instead of static charts, which you would get with Excel, you can click through various elements to filter and drill down into specific details, making your data exploration dynamic and more meaningful. Again, how much more powerful would your data be if you could interact with it rather than just viewing static reports? Interactive visualizations are like turning a flat map into a 3D model where you can explore every detail from every angle. Another advantage of these visualizations is business intelligence will now involve artificial intelligence to allow you to really to allow it to predict, for example, where you should be putting your resources to really maximize your profits. When it comes to dashboards, modern BI dashboards will offer a comprehensive, at-a-glance view of your business with the ability to drill down into the details as needed. Rather than have a dashboard based on one particular data set, you can have multiple reports all on one dashboard, so you can see at a glance any interactions that previously you wouldn't have been aware of. These dashboards will integrate data from multiple sources, providing a holistic view of your organization's performance. Think of it as the cockpit of an airplane where you have all the critical information at your fingertips to navigate your business through any situations. You can also share and collaborate your dashboards across the organization. You're going to be able to have self-service analytics. So rather than asking your IT department for a report all the time, you can add in slicers and other elements which will allow people to drill into the data as they want it. This shift from a traditional request response model speeds up decision making and fosters a culture of data-driven decisions across the organization. What if your team can answer their own questions with data without waiting for reports? How much more agile could your organization be? Self-service analytics is like giving your team the keys to the car, allowing them to drive their own analysis whenever they need to. You can also do regular data refreshes, which ensure that your dashboards are always up to date, helping you make decisions based on the latest information. Power BI will also have security features such as role-based access control, which will ensure that sensitive data is only accessible to those who need it. Are you confident that your data is both current and secure? What if you could easily manage access and keep your data safe? Keeping your data current and secure is like having a well-maintained locked vault, accessible only to those with the right keys. So at the end of the day, we're looking from a traditional Power BI where we have scattered data in Excel sheets, static reports, limited decision making and limited insights, to a more dynamic approach where you can have centralized accessible data, you can have interactive real-time dashboards, collaborative data-driven decisions, and deep actionable insights, all of which will be brought to you by having a dedicated data technician rather than relying on IT teams to do this extra job on top of what they already need to do.
So, the Data Technician is a level 3 apprenticeship. It is a key part of PETA's new digital skills offering. So a data technician interacts with a wide range of different stakeholders in the business, both internally and externally. In fact, anyone who needs access to the data to make informed decisions. The content supports roles in any sector where data is generated, processed, so finance, retail, education, health, and fits any business, whether they're small or large. It really just depends on the needs of the business and how the data aligns in terms of your strategy. The purpose of the apprenticeship is to help the apprentice with their communication, analytics, how to structure and data, whether that is the unstructured or structured, to support the business outcomes while blending the data from multiple different sources. The content includes developing skills in a number of applications and tools. That would include Power BI, Excel, Word, Outlook, Power Automate, and we also incorporate Power Apps and DAX alongside that. What is the apprentice expected to be able to demonstrate? So there are 10 core duties. I'm not going to cover all of them, but basically the duties involve collecting, processing, analysing, validating, communicating data to support business outcomes while ensuring data quality and, of course, security to make sure you're GDPR compliant. So with this apprenticeship, we have moved away from the traditional chalk and talk because a lot of employers have asked for a much more agile approach. And we've been listening to this, and what we've created is a modular apprenticeship. So all of the courses and all of the content that they traditionally would come into PETA to deliver, we've actually put that online onto our Moodle platform. Being flexible, it allows us to meet the needs of the employers, but also to fulfill the 6 hours per week off the job learning, which is a requirement of the apprenticeship program. The e-learning enables the learners to lead their learning, be self-directed, while also supported by their L&D coach. One of the main benefits is it's accessible from absolutely anywhere, so the apprentices can step in and out of the training as it's required. And being modular also means they can do this at their own pace and revise modules as needed, as the courses will still be up there once they've completed them. Whereas a lot of time when they finish the training courses, they don't necessarily have all the notes and the materials that they could have had when they finish. So it's also easier to integrate the apprenticeship with work priorities as well. So the program flow. So the duration of the program is an 18-month, what they call practical period, with a 3-month EPA period. So the practical period is where they will learn on the job, complete the training courses, and they will start collecting the evidence that is required for their endpoint assessment. So they are required to complete 6 pieces of evidence that cover the totality of the standard. So the totality of the standard is all the knowledge, skills, and behaviours that are listed within the 10 duties. Once they've got that and they've completed all of that, they go into what is called the gateway, which is pretty much a meeting where the employer, the learner, and PETA will agree that they are ready to go into endpoint assessment. So they have met all that knowledge, skills, and behaviours. Once they go into endpoint assessment, it is broken down into 2 assessment methods. So assessment method 1 is scenario and demonstration. So there are 2 45-minute scenarios with Q&As. The scenarios are monitored by a BCS, because they are the EPAO that we use, assessor, who will make sure that they are conducted in test environment. And once completed within that 45 minutes, they will also ask the apprentice questions. Assessment method 2 is a professional discussion that's underpinned by the portfolio that they created during that practical period of 18 months. Once all that is completed, within 10 working days, they will then get the overall apprenticeship grade for their performance within the 2 EPA assessment methods. As the lead learning and development coach, I will be the one that will be coming out, agreeing the objectives, making sure that they're ready and getting them as ready as we can, really, to get the highest possible grades. The grades go from pass, merit, and distinction within this apprenticeship program.
So in terms of what we've been talking about today, ultimately the Data Technician program is an apprenticeship program. So looking at how apprenticeships function, an apprenticeship is ultimately a paid job where your employee is learns and gains valuable experience at the same time. And historically, I think there's always been a common stigma around apprenticeships, around, you know, what they represent, who can do an apprenticeship program, and looking at how our organisations now and how businesses are moving to use apprenticeship programs, we're really starting to see that break down. So historically, typically people would thought apprenticeships were for younger individuals, but actually anyone can be an apprentice now. So as long as you're over school leaving age, we can utilise apprenticeship programs to either bring completely fresh talent into your organisation by recruiting someone specifically into this data technician role, or actually looking at the existing employees within your organisation to look at potentially where we could use the opportunity to retrain or upskill existing employees to bring them up to the standard that you need to take over the responsibility of the workload of a data technician. Apprenticeships bring a whole host of benefits to an organisation. We've talked a lot about how important it is to have somebody within your business who can look after data and really drill down into it and, you know, draw those trends out of it. So potentially you might be thinking, now I haven't got anyone in my organisation, so this apprenticeship could be used to fill that skills gap within your business. Also looking at how we can grow the next generation of talent. So again, you might be looking at your organisation thinking at the moment this is something that is dealt with by our IT teams, but how can we actually bring that forward and you know, look at how we future plan for our data. So growing the next generation of talent is absolutely something that you can do through this apprenticeship scheme. Apprenticeships are a very cost-effective way to train your staff. So for a larger organisation, if you are paying into the apprenticeship levy, that means that you've already got money that's ring-fenced that has to be spent on apprenticeship training. And if you aren't spending that money on apprenticeship training, you guys are actually losing that on a regular basis back to the government. So it's best to take advantage of utilising those levy funds to train up apprentices within your organisation. If you are a small employer, it means that you have the opportunity to just pay 5% towards the cost of the training. Again, making this a really, really cost-effective way to bring either new individuals into your organisation and get them the training that they need, or upskill your current employees into this role. There have been a number of studies that have proven that utilising apprenticeship schemes helps to improve productivity within your organisation and improve staff retention as well. Ultimately, if you invest in your staff, they'll invest in you guys as a business. So let's just have a little look at how we would support you guys through that process. So as an organisation, PETA have a dedicated recruitment team, and we support our employers with not only recruiting new individuals into the business, but also supporting eligible learners, employed learners, through the eligibility checks that are required to assess their suitability for the apprenticeship programme. So the first thing that we would do after initial expression of interest in our data technician apprenticeship programme would be to book an initial meeting with you. The most important thing when we look at implementing an apprenticeship into a business is making sure that the job role that you're proposing for your data technician to undertake actually aligns with all of the key knowledge, skills and behaviours of the apprenticeship programme. So that in that very first meeting, we would complete our employer mapping document where we would talk about your proposed job role and the knowledge, skills and behaviours, and make sure that there is a direct link there between what the expectation of the apprenticeship is and ultimately what the apprentice is going to be doing as their job role, just to make sure that we're able to provide you with in-depth guidance to make sure that the role is suitable and give your apprentice the opportunity to pass that endpoint assessment at the end of the process. We would then conduct eligibility checks. So if you opted to go down the process of retraining someone within your organisation or upskilling someone within your organisation, there are certain funding guidelines that we have to comply with and certain eligibility checks that we need to undertake. So as your chosen partner for the Data Technician Apprenticeship Programme, we would support you with making sure that all of those checks are undertaken and making sure ultimately that the apprenticeship is the best choice for training up this individual within your business. Alternatively, we could look at supporting you with a recruitment service. So at PETA, we offer a free and a premium recruitment service to help you identify and bring in the right individuals to support you within this really important job role within your organisation. The final stages of the process that we would support you with in terms of that, bringing somebody new in or upskilling somebody, would be supporting you with getting the appropriate paperwork in place, making sure that every party has a really good understanding of what they're signing up for before we sign on the dotted line. We would then go through the process of onboarding your apprentice, and this is about setting them up for success in their apprenticeship program. And this is where it would transition between myself and Andy's team, handing you over to your learning development coach, who's going to be the person who will be there to support not only you as an employer, but also your learner through that apprenticeship program, to make sure that they are progressing well against the learning objectives that have been set against their program, making sure that they're keeping up together with their coursework and their submissions, and ultimately just making sure that the apprenticeship program is meeting their expectations in terms of the training that they wanted to receive, and making sure that that's being embedded correctly within your organisation.
Fantastic. So thank you all to Michael, our data technician, to Andy, our lead L&D coach in our IT department, and to Beth, our recruitment manager. I think this clearly outlines the need to remove that stigma in and around apprenticeships, because it's a recognition it's an excellent way of upskilling your existing employees. So the challenge obviously identified through feedback from yourself, our customer base, was that the huge volumes of data that's being generated from multiple sources within your organizations aren't being harnessed effectively to support your leaders in making business decisions. I'm sure you can see, as we do, that enrolling members of your organization on this program will equip them with the knowledge, the skills and the behaviors required to remedy that challenge. PETA feel this apprenticeship program offers both the data controllers and the business leaders alike the training required to collect data effectively, analyze the content of this through industry-leading ICT platforms such as Power BI, and present the content so that the business as a whole can utilize that and make effective business decisions which support the ongoing success of your organization. So that's it. Thanks very much for your time today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out on the contact details below.